Alan Carter stood frozen in front of his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The signal patterns on his monitor didn't make sense, or rather, they made too much sense. "Lisa, can you look at this?" he called to his colleague across the lab. Lisa Mitchell pushed away from her desk and rolled her chair over to Alan's workstation. Her eyes widened as she studied the data. "Is that?" Her voice trailed off. "Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, element structures." Alan pointed at different sections of the pattern. "This isn't random noise. It's a message." The Lunar Observatory had picked up the signal 3 days ago. Most of the team thought it was just another cosmic anomaly, but Alan had stayed late every night, certain there was more to it. Now he had proof. Within hours, the quiet lab transformed into a buzzing center of activity. Scientists from other departments crowded around, and video calls with Earth headquarters ran continuously. Alan felt uncomfortable with all the attention, but kept working to decode more of the message. "We need to inform the public," said Director Frank Wilson after a tense meeting with world leaders. "This is the biggest discovery in human history." Alan disagreed. "We should understand the full message first. What if? What if it's a friendly greeting from an advanced civilization?" Frank interrupted. "Think of the hope this will give people, Carter. The world needs good news." The announcement came the next day. Across Earth, people celebrated. Religious leaders called it a miracle. Stock markets soared. Children wrote letters to the aliens, which news programs displayed with delight. In the following weeks, Alan and Lisa led the team translating the alien message. They learned the senders called themselves the Valari. The message included basic scientific information, cultural expressions, and an invitation to respond. But something bothered Alan. Hidden in the mathematical sequences were patterns he couldn't explain to the others, suggestions of spatial mapping and energy measurements that matched Earth's defensive satellite grid too perfectly to be coincidence. "They're studying us," he told Lisa one night when everyone else had left. "These patterns correspond exactly to our planetary defense systems." Lisa looked troubled. "Are you sure? That would mean that they're preparing for something else, not friendship." When Alan brought his concerns to Director Wilson and the International Space Coalition Committee, they dismissed his worries. "You're seeing threats where there are none, Carter," Wilson said firmly. "The Valari have shared knowledge and extended a hand in friendship. We're sending our response tomorrow, including coordinates for a meeting point near Neptune." "It's too soon," Alan protested. "We need more time to analyze." "The decision is final," Wilson said. "The Horizon will depart next month with a diplomatic team. Captain Powell has already begun crew selection." After the meeting, Lisa found Alan sitting alone in the observatory dome, staring at the stars. "They think I'm paranoid," he said without looking at her. Lisa sat beside him. "You've always seen patterns others miss. That's why you're the best at what you do. What if I'm right this time? What if we're inviting something terrible to our doorstep?" "Then we'll deal with it," Lisa said. "Humanity has faced challenges before." Alan nodded, but the knot in his stomach wouldn't go away. As Earth celebrated and prepared gifts for their new cosmic friends, he continued analyzing the Valari message in secret. With each passing day, his dread grew stronger. 1 month later, he watched the Horizon launch from Earth, carrying humanity's official representatives to meet the Valari. The ship gleamed like a beacon of hope as it rose through the atmosphere. Alan whispered to himself as the ship disappeared from view, "I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong." But in his heart, he knew he wasn't. The starship Horizon floated silently near Neptune's blue glow. After 6 months of travel, they had reached the meeting coordinates sent by the Valari. Captain Jack Powell stood on the bridge, hiding his nervousness from his crew. "Any sign of them?" he asked. Navigation Officer Paul Baker shook his head. "Nothing yet, Captain. Keep scanning. They said they'd be here." Olivia Garcia, the ship's communications specialist, worked at her station nearby. She had studied the Valari language during their journey, and now knew it better than anyone else on board. "Captain," Paul suddenly called out. "Something's appearing on sensors." The bridge crew watched in awe as a massive ship materialized before them. It was at least 20 times larger than the horizon, shaped like a giant silver teardrop. Its surface shimmered with lights that pulsed in rhythmic patterns. "Open communications," Jack ordered, straightening his uniform. Olivia sent the greeting message they had prepared. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then suddenly, their screens lit up with symbols. "They're responding," Olivia said, her fingers flying over her console. "They welcome us, and they're sending docking instructions." Jack looked at Chris Bennett, his security officer. "Thoughts?" "Their ship could swallow us whole, sir," Chris said quietly. "If they wanted to harm us, they already could have. I say we proceed, but stay alert." 6 hours later, Jack led a small team into the Valari ship. The alien vessel's interior was vast, with curved walls that seemed to glow from within. The air felt strange, thicker than Earth's, and with a sweet smell like overripe fruit. The Valari themselves were tall, slender beings with blue-gray skin that seemed almost translucent. They had 4 arms and moved with unusual grace. Their faces had no noses, just breathing slits, and their eyes were large and completely black. "Welcome, humans," the lead Valari said through a translation device. "I am Sentinel's Wrath. We are pleased to meet you in person." The first meetings went well. The Valari shared information about their civilization. They claimed to come from a star system thousands of light years away. They expressed interest in Earth's culture and resources, especially water, which they said was rare in their home system. But Chris Bennett remained uneasy. He noticed his equipment would malfunction whenever the Valari were nearby. His communications device would lose signal, and his vital monitors would reset. "Something's not right," he told Jack in private after their third meeting. "I think they're scanning our technology." "Do you have proof?" Jack asked. "No, but I can feel it. They're studying us, Captain." Jack nodded. "Keep watching, but be discreet. Earth wants this alliance to work." The next day, Chris decided to hide a small recording device in one of the meeting rooms when the Valari weren't present. He told only Jack about his plan. That night, Chris didn't show up for the crew's dinner. Jack ordered a search. They found him in an empty corridor near the meeting rooms. He was dead, his body strangely withered, as if something had drained the life from him. The Valari expressed deep regret. They explained that some areas of their ship contained radiation harmful to humans, and suggested Chris must have wandered into a restricted zone. Jack didn't believe them, but orders from Earth were clear: maintain diplomatic relations at all costs. The potential benefits of the Valari alliance were too great to risk over one suspicious death. As Jack sent the news of Chris's death back to Earth, another 4 Valari ships appeared near Jupiter. The Valari called them cultural exchange vessels. Jack saw them for what they truly were: warships. When he reported this to Earth Command, Director Wilson's response was swift. "Continue the mission, Captain Powell. These are delicate times. We cannot afford to appear hostile or suspicious." Jack ended the transmission and stared out at the massive Valari ship. In his gut, he knew Alan Carter had been right all along. Alan Carter couldn't sleep. For weeks, he had been analyzing the Valari communications, searching for the patterns that worried him. The data from the Horizons meetings only deepened his concerns. His apartment door chimed. Alan checked the time, 3:17 a.m., and frowned. Nobody visited at this hour. When he opened the door, a woman in a military uniform stood there. Her posture was straight, her eyes alert despite the late hour. "Dr. Carter." "Major Kate Williams, Earth Defense Intelligence." She showed him her ID. "May I come in?" Alan hesitated, then stepped aside. Kate walked straight to his computer. "You've been flagging concerns about the Valari communications," she said. "Tell me what you found." Alan pointed to his screen. They ask a lot about our water reserves, power grids, and defense systems, but it's what they hide in their transmissions that worries me. He pulled up a file showing complex data patterns. These embedded signals match our satellite defense grid frequencies perfectly. They're mapping our vulnerabilities. Kate studied the screen. Show me more. For hours, they worked together. Kate brought military insight to Alan's scientific observations. By morning, they had compiled evidence that the Valari were positioning their ships at strategic points throughout the solar system. We need to present this to the ISC Council, Kate said. That afternoon, they stood before Director Henry Morrison and the International Space Coalition leadership. The presentation didn't go well. Speculation and paranoia, Morrison dismissed. The Valari have shared advanced medical knowledge and offered to help solve our energy crisis. We won't jeopardize that with wild accusations. Sir, the evidence, Kate began, is circumstantial at best. Morrison cut her off. The Valari explained that their ships are positioned to study our solar system for scientific purposes. Captain Powell reports that negotiations are progressing well. Ellen stepped forward. What about the officer who died on their ship? And why are they so interested in our water resources? Morrison's face hardened. That's enough, Dr. Carter. This meeting is over. You're both removed from the Valari project effective immediately. As they left the building, security guards escorted them to a car. What's happening? Ellen asked. House arrest, Kate said quietly. They're taking us to a secure facility for our protection. They don't want us talking to anyone. The next 3 days passed slowly in a government apartment. Guards watched their every move. All communications were blocked. On the 4th day, Kate managed to hack into a service tablet left by maintenance staff. She accessed a secure channel and downloaded recent reports from Space Command. 3 more Valari ships have entered Earth orbit, she told Alan, and the Horizon has been ordered to return home. Alan studied the ship positions on the tablet. They're surrounding us. Classic military formation. Morrison still thinks they're here for cultural exchange, Kate said bitterly. That night, Alan was awakened by distant sirens. Kate was already at the window. Something's happening, she said. Alan joined her. In the distance, bright flashes lit up the night sky. Then the power went out in their building and emergency lights flicked on. It's starting, Alan whispered. Their guards burst in, looking panicked. We've lost contact with command. All defense satellites are offline. Kate took charge immediately. We need to get to the bunker level. Now, as they raced down the stairs, a massive explosion rocked the building. Through a window, Alan saw Valari ships in the sky, firing energy beams at the city below. They're targeting military installations first, Kate said, analyzing the pattern of attacks. Then power grids, water treatment plants. They knew exactly where to hit us. They reached the underground parking area. Kate quickly disabled a government car's security and got them inside. Where are we going? Ellen asked as she drove them away from the burning building. To find Colonel Sam Rivera. He runs a backup command center outside the city. If anyone is organizing a response, it will be him. Ellen looked back at the city, now partly in flames. Earth was under attack, just as he had feared, and nobody had been prepared. Captain Jack Powell watched in horror from the horizon as Earth's orbital defenses exploded one by one. The Valari attack had begun without warning, precisely coordinated, and devastating in its efficiency. Captain, we're receiving emergency signals from Earth, Olivia Garcia said, her voice shaking. All major military bases are under attack. Civilian casualties are massive. Jack gripped the command chair. What about our orders? Nothing from command. All official channels are jammed. Jack made the hardest decision of his career. Set course away from Earth. Maximum speed. His second in command, Steve Mason, looked shocked. Sir, we can't abandon. We're not abandoning anyone, Jack said firmly. We'd be destroyed in seconds if we tried to help. We need to warn the colonies on Mars and Europa. That's our duty now." As the Horizon changed course, the crew watched their homeworld burn. The Valari ships surrounded Earth, their weapons carving paths of destruction across the surface. Back on Earth, Alan and Kate reached the hidden command center after a dangerous journey through the chaos. The underground facility was buried beneath an old farm designed to survive even nuclear attacks. Colonel Sam Rivera greeted them with a grim face. His left arm was bandaged, and exhaustion lined his features. "Carter, Williams, glad you made it." He led them into a room filled with military personnel working at computers. "Welcome to what's left of Earth's Defense Command." "How bad is it?" Kate asked. "Bad. We've lost 83% of military capabilities. The Valari hit us exactly where it hurt most." Sam looked at Alan. "You were right about them. Too bad nobody listened." "What are they doing now?" Alan asked. Sam showed them satellite images on a large screen. "They're setting up some kind of facilities near major bodies of water, oceans, large lakes. We think they're extracting something." Over the next few days, Alan studied the Valari operations from the limited data they could gather. The pattern became clear. "They're taking our water," he told Sam and Kate. "Not just any water. They're specifically extracting certain compounds within it, elements and bacteria that must be valuable to them." "They started a war for our water?" Sam asked in disbelief. "Not just water," Alan explained. "Earth has a unique biosphere with compounds they need. Our oceans contain elements in combinations they can't synthesize. We're being harvested." Outside, the situation grew worse. Major cities worldwide were in ruins. Millions had died in the initial attack. The Valari ground forces, mechanical drones controlled by the ships in orbit, rounded up survivors for labor in the water extraction facilities. But humans began to fight back. Small resistance groups formed in every region, attacking Valari drones and sabotaging their equipment. Sam's command center coordinated these efforts as best they could with limited communications. "We need to understand their technology better," Alan said after watching footage of a failed resistance attack. "They must have weaknesses." Kate had been organizing reconnaissance missions to observe the Valari up close. She returned from one such mission with new information. "They wear special suits when they come down to Earth," she said. "I think they need protection from something here. Maybe our atmosphere, or radiation, or bacteria." Alan spent days analyzing the footage Kate's team had collected. He noticed the Valari suits emitted a faint blue glow at certain frequencies. "It's a shield," he realized. "They need specific radiation protection from Earth's natural spectrum. That could be a vulnerability." Meanwhile, in space, the Horizon reached Mars colony with its warning. Jack Powell found the colony already on high alert. They had witnessed Earth's fall through telescopes. "We need to unite all outer colonies," Jack told the Mars governor. "The Valari will come for us next." As the Horizon prepared to continue to Europa, Jack received a weak transmission from Colonel Rivera's command center. Earth wasn't defeated yet. A resistance was forming, and they might have found a way to fight back. 3 months had passed since the first attack. Earth was a different planet now. Cities lay in ruins. The oceans were shrinking as massive Valari machines drained the water and processed it in floating factories. The sky had turned a sickly yellow from pollution caused by their operations. In the underground command center, Alan worked day and night studying Valari technology. Colonel Rivera had organized raids to capture alien equipment, giving Alan precious samples to examine. Kate entered his lab, her face thinner than before, a new scar running along her jawline. "Any progress?" she asked. Alan looked up from his workstation. "Yes, I've confirmed my theory about their shields." He pointed to a small device he had built. "This emits the exact radiation frequency that's harmful to them. Their shields specifically block it. Can we use this as a weapon? If we can boost the signal and broadcast it widely, yes. But we'd need to knock out their shield generators first. They have hundreds around the planet. Kate smiled for the first time in weeks. That's where the resistance comes in. Colonel Rivera called a meeting that evening. Representatives from resistance cells joined via secure channels. Some were in person, having traveled secretly across dangerous territory. "We finally have a plan to hurt these invaders," Rivera said. "Dr. Carter has identified their weakness. Major Williams will explain our strategy." Kate stepped forward. "The Valari need shields to protect them from Earth's natural radiation. We've identified their main shield generators. They're located at 27 points around the globe." She showed a map with red dots marking each location. "We need to hit them all at once." "That's impossible," someone objected. "We don't have enough people or weapons. We don't need to destroy them completely," Alan explained. "Just disrupt them for about 10 minutes. That's all the time we need to broadcast our radiation signal." "What about civilians near these locations?" another voice asked. "The radiation won't harm humans," Alan assured them. "It only affects Valari biology." Planning took another month. Through carefully guarded communications, resistance groups worldwide prepared for the coordinated attack. They called it Operation Sunburn. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Powell had united the colonies into a defensive alliance. The Horizon, along with ships from Mars, Europa, and the mining outposts, formed a small but determined fleet. Jack had been in contact with Earth's resistance through weak, encrypted signals. When he learned of Operation Sunburn, he proposed his own part in the plan. "We still have access to some of Earth's old defense satellites," he told his officers. "Most were destroyed, but a few remain in distant orbits, powered down and undetected. We can reprogram them to emit the radiation frequency when the shield generators go down." His crew worked to modify the satellites, preparing for their one chance to strike back. Back on Earth, Alan and Kate visited a resistance camp to deliver special equipment. Children there stared at them with hollow eyes. One small boy approached Alan. "Are you going to make the aliens leave?" he asked quietly. Alan knelt down. "We're going to try our best. They took my mom. She worked at the water plant." Alan put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "I'm sorry, but we're fighting back now." That night, Kate found Alan sitting alone, staring at the stars through a crack in the ceiling. "Having doubts?" she asked. "Thinking about what we've lost and what's at stake?" Kate sat beside him. "When I was training, my commander said something I never forgot. He said the most dangerous enemy is one with nothing left to lose." She looked at Alan. "That's us now." Alan nodded. The Valari made a mistake. They thought superior technology meant certain victory. They didn't understand what humans do when pushed to the edge. "And what's that?" Alan's eyes hardened. "We push back harder." The date was set. In 2 days, Operation Sunburn would begin. Earth's resistance would make it stand. The day of Operation Sunburn arrived. Dawn broke over a wounded Earth, its skies dark with pollution from Valari processing plants. In hidden bases around the world, resistance fighters prepared for battle. Colonel Rivera addressed his team in North America. "Today we show these invaders that taking our planet was their biggest mistake." Similar speeches happened in resistance cells across the globe. Everyone knew their roles. The plan was simple but dangerous. Strike all shield generators simultaneously, giving Captain Powell's Space Fleet time to activate the radiation broadcast. Alan made final adjustments to the radiation emitter in Rivera's base. "This will work," he told Kate. "The frequency is exactly what harms their biology." Kate checked her weapon. "I'll be leading the strike team at the eastern generator. You stay here and coordinate with Powell." "Be careful," Alan said. "We need 10 minutes of shield disruption. No more, no less." "We'll get it done." Kate squeezed his shoulder and left with her team. At exactly 800 hours global time, the attack began. Resistance fighters struck Valari shield generators on every continent. In North America, Colonel Rivera led the main assault on the largest facility. The Valari were caught by surprise. They had grown confident after months of little opposition. Their drone guards fell before the determined human attackers. Kate's team planted explosives at their target generator. "Clear the area," she shouted as they retreated. The explosion rocked the ground, sending the generator's core into meltdown. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. Not all teams succeeded. Some were detected and faced heavy resistance. But enough generators went offline to create gaps in the planetary shield. In orbit, Captain Powell watched the shield fluctuations on his monitor. "We're seeing disruption in multiple sectors," his officer reported. "Shield integrity down to 64% globally." "That's our window," Jack ordered. "Activate the satellites." The modified defense satellites powered up, broadcasting the specific radiation frequency that was toxic to Valari biology. The radiation poured through the gaps in the planetary shield, reaching the Valari on the surface. Ellen monitored the broadcast from base. "It's working. The radiation is penetrating the shield gaps." On the Valari command ships, alarms sounded as crew members began to fall ill. Their skin turned purple, and they struggled to breathe. The radiation affected their cellular structure, causing rapid deterioration. The Valari ground forces, the few actual aliens rather than drones, collapsed in the middle of firefights. Their protective suits failed without the shield network supporting them. Colonel Rivera's team pushed forward, taking control of a major water processing plant. They watched in amazement as Valari commanders writhed in pain, their bodies reacting violently to Earth's enhanced radiation. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Many resistance fighters died in the attacks. Cities where shield generators were located faced brutal Valari counterattacks. The aliens, realizing what was happening, lashed out in desperation. Kate's team was returning to base when Valari ships appeared overhead. Energy weapons carved the ground around them. She took cover in an abandoned building, watching as friendly positions were destroyed one by one. "We need to hold out," she told her remaining fighters. "The radiation needs time to work." In space, Captain Powell's fleet engaged Valari ships trying to escape Earth's orbit. The makeshift human vessels were outgunned but fought with desperate courage. "We can't let them retreat and regroup," Jack told his crew. "Every ship we stop saves lives on Earth." The Horizon took heavy damage as it prevented 3 Valari cruisers from fleeing. Emergency lights flashed on the bridge as systems failed. Back at the command center, Alan received reports from around the world. The radiation was working. Valari forces were in disarray, but their desperation made them more dangerous. They were destroying everything they could in their final hours. "We've hurt them," Alan told Rivera, "but they're going to make Earth pay for it." Rivera nodded grimly. "Then we need to finish this." The Valari launched a massive final assault on the human resistance headquarters. Their remaining ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, weapons blazing with desperate fury. "They found us," Colonel Rivera announced grimly as the base shook from nearby explosions. "They know this is our command center." Alen worked frantically at his station, fingers flying across the keyboard. For weeks, he had been building a special transmitter unlike anything before. It was designed to reach beyond the solar system, carrying a message more powerful than any Earth had ever sent. "How much longer?" Kate asked, rushing into the room. Her uniform was torn, face streaked with dirt and blood from the ongoing battle above ground. "Almost ready," Alan replied without looking up. "The transmitter is at 96% power. I need 5 more minutes." Kate exchanged glances with Rivera. "We might not have 5 minutes." The ceiling cracked as another explosion hit closer to the base. Warning lights flashed throughout the facility. "Valari ground forces have breached the outer perimeter," a soldier reported. "Drones are inside the complex." Rivera made a quick decision. "Everyone who can hold a weapon, defend this room. Dr. Carter must finish his work." He turned to Kate. "Major Williams, organize our remaining forces. Buy him those 5 minutes." Kate nodded and began directing defenders to strategic positions. The sounds of fighting grew closer. Energy weapons, gunfire, and screams echoed through the corridors. Alan continued his work, blocking out the chaos around him. The transmitter was their last hope. Not to save Earth, it was too late for that, but to ensure humanity's survival and eventual revenge. In orbit, the Horizon limped through space, heavily damaged but still fighting. Jack Powell watched as Valari reinforcements arrived in the system. "Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth," Olivia reported, surprise in her voice. "It's from the Resistance base. Dr. Carter is asking us to stand by to relay a transmission." "Put him through," Jack ordered. Alan's voice came through, broken by static. "Captain Powell, we're about to send our final message to the stars. The Valari homeworld needs to hear this. Your ship can amplify our signal." "We'll relay it," Jack promised. "But you should know, more Valari ships are arriving. A lot more." "Perfect timing," Alan replied grimly. Back in the base, the defenders fought desperately. Kate led a squad that held the main corridor, but they were being pushed back room by room. "We can't hold much longer," she shouted to Rivera. The colonel nodded. "We don't need to, just long enough." He opened a panel on the wall, revealing an emergency destruct system. This was always a one-way mission. Alan's transmitter finally reached 100%. "It's ready," he called out. Rivera gave the order to fall back to the main room. The surviving fighters retreated, sealing the doors behind them. "Everyone, this is it," Rivera announced as they gathered around Alan's station. "What exactly are we sending, Doctor?" Alan stood tall despite his exhaustion. "Everything. Our entire analysis of Valari biology and technology. The frequency it harms them, detailed schematics of their ship's weaknesses, and a warning." He pressed the transmit button. The message began streaming to Powell's ship and beyond, aimed directly at the Valari home system. The doors to the room began to melt as Valari weapons cut through. They had only moments left. "What's the warning?" Kate asked quietly. Alan showed her the final text of the message. "You'll regret this war." Rivera activated the self-destruct sequence. 30 seconds. In space, Jack Powell watched as the message streamed through his ship's communications array, amplified and directed toward distant stars. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The approaching Valari reinforcements halted their advance. Then, one by one, they began to turn away. "They're receiving the transmission," Olivia realized. "They know what we've learned. They know what we can do to them now." As the base exploded below, taking hundreds of Valari attackers with it, the remaining alien ships broke orbit and flowed into deep space. Jack stood on his bridge, watching them retreat. Earth was devastated, billions dead, its environment wrecked. But humanity survived in the colonies, and now they had the knowledge to ensure the Valari would never threaten them again. "This isn't over," he said softly. "It's just beginning."